Hello there, and welcome to Miss Loisel's podcast. I'm here today with Susan Long of Divine Connections, and her website's divineconnectionswithsusan.com. She's self-employed massage therapist. She does cranial sacral facial massage therapy, CFT, which is actually known as Gillespie approach. She's a holy fire Reiki, quantum trance, and orthopedic masseuse. The quantum trance is based on Dolores Cannon's QHHT, which is hypnotic regression. She's is a contactee, abductee, milab, secret space program, psychic medium, remote viewer who has been healing for 15 years now. She's a former police officer and detective. She's a current folk herbalist. And her friend Merlin thinks Jean Grey is based on her gifts. So let's give it a warm welcome to Susan Long here.
Hi, it's nice to be here today. I almost forgot I was supposed to do this show today because I had a lot going on this week. So I'm glad you sent me that message because I would have been off in my own world. Um, it's usually Saturday mornings I'm busy. I take my people that are working during the week. And I was I remember being a contactee from age 2, and that's when these T-Rex looking things were coming through my window and scaring me. Um, I don't remember them taking me till when my parents bought their first house. I think I was 6 because I'm the oldest. And that's when I was getting taken by men in black. And I also got taken by the mater. And they're really unattractive and they're mean. And I swear it was a white triangle ship that they would come in and they took me out my bedroom window. There was a roof there. And I remember fighting them because they didn't want them to take my little brother and my little sister. And the weird thing was, within the last 10 years, I was in mom and dad's kitchen and I said to my brother, I said, do you remember? I said, I used to have this weird dream and it was once a year at the same time, and these witches would try to kidnap us. And
Wow.
they end up taking me. And I thought they were witches till I saw I forget which name she goes by. Angela Stars. We were in Misha's Sunday group, and she showed a picture of the mater, and I was like, oh my God, I have been abducted by those freaking guys. That's who the witches were. But in my little
Oh,
kid's
wow.
mind, I didn't know they looked like they have long faces, and they reminded me of that typical 60s, 70s witch that they had that would be on your Halloween decorations. I don't see her much anymore. And my brother was like, I remember having a dream where the witches would kidnap us. And we both kind of did one of these
Wow.
and looked at each other and we didn't say anything else because I thought something was with that because it was once a year and they would come and kidnap us. And I don't remember what happened after that. I've also had a lot of contact from the Fae and 'cause well, back in 2018, I guess it was 2019, I started glowing on camera and I started researching the shining ones and who shines because it happens on and off. I'm not doing it right now, but when I do it, I'll look like a glowworm or a lightning bug. And I found in my research the two of the Dana were known as the Shining Ones. That's the tribe of Danu that came down from the heavens and supposedly burnt their ships. And they're like the Irish pantheon of magical beings. And they brought the 4 gifts, which one was a cauldron, one was a spear, one was a sword, and then the rock. And the rock would sing if a true king touched it. And I don't know what happened to the rock, but supposedly the Brits stole it and it hasn't sung under anyone in a long time. So
Oh.
because they aren't the true kings and queens anyway. They're they're they kind of like hijack the bloodline. Um
The aliens hijacked the bloodline?
Not the aliens, the England the people that call themselves English royalty, they aren't royalty.
What are they?
I kind of wonder if they're not real lizards that are inside of
Reptilian.
people. I mean,
Yes.
I'm a red dragon. I saw my red dragon in January 2020, and I took a picture, and I actually had, you can see I had kind of had these bumps here, and my eyes look different, and I have to send it to you. You can see because I'm shifting back to human because the guy I was with at the time who ended up being one of the people they paired me with or an alter of his. Anyway, he's like, "You're a red dragon." I said, "What?" I picked up my phone to look. I was, ah! And then I picked it back up and I took a picture and all I got was you can see like scales. Like if you look here, I don't have any wrinkles there. And it was all like human scaly flesh like. It was weird. And so I saw the shining one. I saw, oh, and in 2019, when I went to Isetti to the Lions Gate, I was out by the Pleiadian Circle. There's this little bush, and it's got this little garden stool. And I was sitting out there meditating, and my guide said, "Take a picture." And I took a picture. My whole upper lip looks like a cat lip. It's all puffy, and my eyes went like this.
Wow, when you're with the Pleiadians.
Well, no, it was the Lyrans were contacting me because the Lyran ships fly out of Mount Adams at Isetti, and I got some really cool pictures of the clouds out there. I took a video during the daytime, and I just like scanned, and you can see there's a couple cloud cloak ships, and they're flashing lights at me, so I could see them. I don't remember if I noticed it at the time, but I remember looking at it a year later. I'm like, the clouds are flashing me. Well, it's not a cloud, it's really a ship because they're trying to get your attention. They're like, hey, see
Yeah.
us. And at nighttime there at Skywatch Field, you can watch all the multicolored Lyran ships come out. And also, um, when I go to places like that, I like to go get therapies. And there was a cranial sacral therapist there. I think her name's Yvonne. She's the wife of, shoot, I can't remember his name, John Vivanco. And he does remote viewing. He teaches that,
Mm.
and she's the cranial sacral therapist. Well, anyways, while I was there, she starts on this side of me, so I'm laying there face up on the table, and I thought something was going to contact me there, but I thought it was the Bigfoot family, and I was kind of disappointed that they didn't. So I'm laying there. I kind of like look with my third eye with my eyes closed, and I see this Lyran, and she's got this gray military uniform on. She's just kind of standing there at attention. And her head was down like this, and her little ears were sticking out. She had this gray cover, and her ears stuck out, and she looked humanoid, except she had cat fur, like and she had fingers, and I was looking at her, and I was so excited, but also the vibration from her being in the room made it feel like I was vibrating 4 inches off the table. So I'm kind of like trying to clutch onto the table
You're
because
levitating.
yeah, that's what it felt like. And I was thinking, I don't want to fall off the table because my back was hurting really bad then because I'd been in an accident and I didn't want to feel worse while I was trying to be away and enjoy myself. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to telepath this Lyran, and she's still, doing touching me on this side real gentle. And I said to the Lyran, I said, "Are you male or female?" So it showed me this image of Well, first I asked her name, and I said, "What's your name?" And I get this image. She pulls out this chalkboard with white chalk. Right, see it, and that's what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. And I said, "Oh, like the singer?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Are you male or female?" And she showed me like the curve of her breast with her uniform over it. And I'm like, got it. You got breasts, you're female. All right. And I was just like, I was like, oh, I was fanned out because I couldn't think of anything else to say. And then when she got past me, because the being was, the Lyran was at my feet, but she had her back against the wall, but the wall was maybe 2 feet, 3 feet away from the massage table. And I'd open my eyes and couldn't see her. Close my eyes, I can see her because I do that when I'm doing Reiki, and I try so I can see through the layers, use my third eye instead. And then once I get there, I can leave my two eyes open. And when the therapist got around to the right side past the Lyran, I said, "There's there's a lion being." I was so excited. And she said, "Is it my guide Sia?" And I said, she told me her, I said, yeah, yeah. She said, she spells it CIA. And I said, no, she doesn't. She spells it SIA like the singer. We don't like those guys.
See ya.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like the singer. And I don't know. I kind of like floated out of there because I felt so drunk. It was pretty wild. So she came in, and then when I came back from there, I was working in one of the chiropractor's offices I was working at in Delaware. And there's this one lady that came in, and she wanted to experience something mystical, but I knew she had Lyran DNA because I could tell by her face the way she looks. And I'm working, her hip was hurting, so I'm concentrating and I was working on it because it also, when you're doing the CFT, it's also energy healing. So I'll kind of connect to their aura and then I'll feel their pain inside of me. And that's part of how I can figure out what's going
Get
on with
into
them. Unfortunately, that's one of my gifts that I'll feel their pain in my body like it's mine. And
it. Yeah. Fortunately and unfortunately, it's both.
uh, I'm glowing.
You are glowing.
It stopped.
Was that you glowing?
Yeah, that's when it does. Sometimes I can hold it for a while, but yeah, that's me glowing. Anyways,
Wow.
um, so I'm concentrating on her because I want to get to the space where I'm glowing, and that's where I could see through more layers. And I like to use like 528 hertz music because it gets me there. And also, if I try to
That's
hum and put my tip of my tongue right behind your soft palate, that'll help a little bit because helps the vibrations help open up your pineal gland so you can see a little better. And I'm working on her. All of a sudden, I can see there's a golden light coming in, and it's looks kind of bubbly, but it's just shining in. And she's just laying there smiling, and I'm concentrating. Then I look up, and there's three lion beings across from me, and there's like portals behind them, like we're in an airplane, and there's like airplane windows. And I was like, oh.
yeah.
But I'm fine.
You're
She
freaked
was
out.
like, it wasn't for me. I'm like, what's this lady gonna say? She doesn't even know she's about ETs, as far as I know. She doesn't know she has Lyran DNA in her, but I can tell that she's a star seed. And then the Lyrans took us up on their ship to like heal her, and I was like, oh my God, what if she like opens her eyes
Wow.
and sees we're not in the massage room? And I was like, I was like, she's not ready for this. Yeah.
Did she have a recollection?
Mm-mm. She was like, that was so wild. I saw this golden light coming in. And she said, I
Oh,
was waiting. She saw the golden light like I did. And then when after the golden light came on and we were in the ship, and I was like, what the hell? And yeah, I felt so intoxicated. I actually tripped out of the door. I was trying to walk normal, but I felt really drunk.
so the Lyrans are the good ones.
Well, they are for me because, and her, if you're, but they're also on the do not
Those are
approach
huge.
for the American military because they're pretty fierce. And actually, there was the Dracos destroyed R12. We had the 12th Stargate, the 12th dimensional, the Stargate that they wanted on our planet, and they blew up. Well, Stargate imploded. I remember seeing that because I remember fleeing Lyra at the end, and they were literally like this big Draco ship came over and it took the gravity off of our planet too. So houses, cars, vehicles, everything was floating off the ground. And
So
yeah, what's
what's
kind
the difference between the Stargate and the portals? Like the portals open up, and now you're saying the Stargate is the Stargate. Like, what's the
that's
difference?
more of a physical thing, where a portal is something that you open up, where you're opening dimensions and to walk through, because it's basically kind of almost like because I was taken a couple times. That was a couple summers ago. Trying to think. I think they took us to Nellis Air Force Base because I was with um we don't speak anymore because he's a malignant narcissist, but I found the altar here this guy was paired with. Um and this was weird. I said, do you remember going somewhere last night? He said, yeah. He said, we went to Nellis Air Force Base. But see, I remember being in the hallway and this guy, and he was like 40, not 60 something, like the guy that's head of Space Force, but he was like 20, 25 years younger. And he opens up the door, says, I've been waiting for you. And then I go in there and there's a whiteboard on the wall. So I went in just like when I was in the drug unit, and we were doing search warrants. I, you know, went in and said, I'm going to open the portal here. I'm going to jump through. You guys come behind me. And they used me that time to open this portal into what looked like a drug dealer's house with some big cartel guy because I was in South America and it was a cartel mansion. That kitchen was huge. I think his kitchen was as big as my house. And I
Wow.
jumped in and he was like, oh, and he got all sweaty and he starts running. And I was always a wise guy. And I said, you can run, but you can't hide. And his little chubby butt was running away. And then all the Air Force guy came in behind, jumped through the portal behind me. But when you hear the ex talk about it, he said, we went in there and people were bowing to us.
Hmm.
He's like, and you told him not to bow to you. And I said, because I wouldn't want anyone to bow to me. I'd be like, what the hell's going on here? Why are they doing this? But of course, being a malignant narcissist, they think they're a god. And I think that's the difference in the two perspectives where I was like, I was just going in and doing my job. Nobody was, yeah, whatever.
You're doing your
Anyways,
job? What job was
yeah,
that
I
to
was
do?
going in to open the portal so the Air Force guys could come in behind me. It wasn't, I'm just trying to tell you the perspectives of like a normal person versus a malignant narcissist had two different recollections of the same thing,
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah, because I'm going in to help my soldiers and instruct them on how we're going in to do this thing. So it wasn't much different from, having my squad when I was in the drug unit do the same thing. And this is just how we did it. But like I said, he says people were bowing to us. I'm like, no, they freaking weren't, you weirdo. And yeah. Um,
So were you
we
in the military?
I worked with the military when I was a police officer. I worked with the DEA, the ATF, the FBI, Delaware National Guard, um, of course, Marshal Service too.
As a
Was
psychic?
no, as a police officer. No, I don't like telling people about that because then they think you're a weirdo. And during the 90s, it was, yeah, I didn't want to get sent to for fitness for duty and have to go see Dr. Woo Woo or whatever, because sometimes people are open to it. They are, and some aren't.
Right.
'Cause my younger son is really psychic, and I told him, don't tell people that on your job interviews, because he's like, well, what did he say? He went for some prison guard thing. I said, don't be a prison guard. It's horrible work. Just go be a cop. And he said he went in there and when they were doing his interview, he's like, well, I told him that I know about things before they happen. I said, well, that's why you didn't get the job because they're thinking this guy's probably crazy. I said, don't let them know about your woo-woo stuff till after you get in there because depending on who you're talking to, it might not be looked on kindly.
Yeah.
And but I was glad he didn't get that job anyway because he wouldn't have enjoyed it. Um,
So you
but
said you
yeah,
were paired with a narcissist. So
yeah.
are you not able to see for yourself what's good for you, like your psychic abilities? Usually they don't work on people for themselves. Is that kind of where that comes into play? And did someone pair you with them, or you feel like
Um,
feel like it was outside of your control in a
I
way?
know he did black magic to find me, and I actually had a love bite. I woke up, I hadn't been dating for like 3 years, and I woke up with this big hickey on my neck, and I had to cover it up because, yeah, I was not happy with that. And I had
Um,
to put makeup cover on it so I could go to work. Because I worked in a doctor's office, can't show up like that. And a year after I found him, and he was here because I relocated 1,000 miles away to Iowa. I was in Delaware, and he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "I was doing meditations and stuff trying to find you," and he said, "We were having relations in the astral, and you said you told me that you didn't remember, so to leave a mark on you." I said, "You did. Do you
wow.
remember when it was? Because I documented this." This is how you do a
Yeah.
fucking detective. You document weird stuff like that. So I have a lot of pictures of weird stuff, and you should document it because it might be a year or 2 years later and you'll run into somebody and they know what it is and you're like, oh. And I said, oh yeah, here's, he said, I think it was June or July of 2019. I said it was July. It's here. I showed him the phone. And I've also had other people do readings on me, and they're like, he used black magic to find you. I said, I know now that he did. um but I
Wow.
would have a lot of visions of really uh, effed up, sexually deviant stuff. And um, when I confront him about it, this is how he would make me um, doubt my own abilities. He would say, "Oh, that was from when we were in the programs getting raped." No, it wasn't. It was stuff he was doing in the here and now. Yeah, he told me he was saving the children in the hetero alpha, and he's neither of those things. So, yeah, we don't.
So
I
he
haven't
used
seen.
black magic.
Mhm.
Why would he want you specifically?
Why?
Yes.
Because they're
Because of Lyran, or
he's
is
a
it because you're psychic?
vampire and he wanted to steal my loosh. And I do
Harvest your
remember, oh yeah, this was really gross because I thought I was seeing things. I remember it was before, 'cause we got together in November 2019, and we were in an Airbnb before I went to settlement on this house I'm in right now. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and my guy's like in my head going, wake up now. And I was like, what? They're like, the room was pitch black because he liked it pitch black, but I don't. I like a little light so I can see the door if I have to go to the bathroom. Um, anyways, I reached down next to the bed, grabbed my phone, put the flashlight on between us because I'm like, what the hell's my guy talking about? And when I did, I saw this horrifying sight, and the back of his spine was open up. Like, it was like crazy. It was like back here, like a foot, and it kind of looked like a woman's vagina almost because it had layers of lips, and it was going like this, stuck in my luge from. And yeah, I was the big spoon that should have told me something right then. And so this thing was feeding. He hasn't got multiple demons, but I'm not going to talk about all that because that's a whole nother thing. But he was feeding on me, on my sacral and root chakra. When I woke him up, of course, the thing disappeared, and I'm scratching my head, going, maybe I didn't see that. But um, later on, that was actually this is 2.5 years out. Amir did a reading, and he's like, Susan, when you would fall asleep, he would literally feed on you at nighttime. That's why you were so exhausted, because I was close to death by the time he left. He went through, yeah, the trickery and the manipulation was just so sick. I would, if you remember any of these guys from these programs, don't meet them because they are so messed up. Because I've been doing healing work for 15 years, and that was another thing. I offered to make him a Reiki master, and he didn't want to do it because he enjoys his demons. And yeah, Amir was like, every time when you would go to sleep, he would feed on you at nighttime. Oh, and I said, you wouldn't believe I saw this thing on his back, and it was like a foot long. It was his spine opens up, and I saw him feeding off of me. And then I remember talking to Renetta Jones a
Renetta
couple of months.
Jones?
yeah, a couple months before she
Oh,
died.
wow.
And I still have all her texts because I would talk to her once in a while. And I was like, yeah, I said, talking about, I got a love bite. And I said, somebody even took my blood when I was out here. And she was like, Susan, you need to get out of there. She said, they want your fey blood. And that's why they were targeting me, these vampires, because they can do spell work with it that they can't do. And he was one of them. And the thing, what they wanted me to do, what they were trying to get me to do was manipulate me, trauma bonds me, and groom me to go to these weird parties that they do out here. And that's not me. That wasn't happening. And I realized what the hell he was, and I turned the hell out.
What weird
And
parties were those?
basically, the people that don't know don't go to sex parties, and these people all rut in front of each other, and you've got these vampires that are attending with other people that probably don't know, or maybe they're all vampires, and that's why they do this Draco reptilian stuff. And I think they just go in there and steal people's loot, and some people are stupid and think it's a fun time. And then you got all these attachments you got to remove that are feeding on you, and you're going to get really sick and you're not going to know what's happening.
So
Yeah.
Loosh is like energy.
Oh, yeah. They'll take your sex energy, your life force energy, whatever they can get. And Renetta also said that were they wanted my blood because the vampires can use it as a looking glass.
A looking glass, like a magnifying
Yep.
glass or like a Stargate looking glass.
Like the program Looking Glass, they can look into the future and see other things. So she told me I need to get the hell out of here. So that's one of my plans to get out of here. Because
Get out of
also
where?
I, Iowa,
Oh,
and yeah, because there's a lot of Christians, Mennonite, and Amish, but then you got this undercurrent of all these black magic witches and warlocks and vampires out here. And I'm right in Demon Central, let's put it that way. And she
is that?
said, 'cause
Oh, sorry.
she
Go ahead.
said, yeah, she said, you're not in the Midwest, are you? Renetta said, and I said, yeah. She's like, get the fuck out of there. But
She was
she
in
said,
Texas, right?
mm-hmm.
Before she died. I mean, it wasn't. They took her life pretty much. She pretty much said, if you don't hear from me, they end me online, and so we all know what happened to her.
Well, she got targeted so hard they gave her cancer because I get hit all the time with Havana syndrome, but it seems to go for 3 months and then they'll leave me alone for 3 months and then I'll come back. Because I've got YouTube videos on my Divine Connections with Susan YouTube, and I'll take an EMF detector and they hit me in my temples, they hit me in my thyroid, my heart. Um, and they also hit me in my descending colon and my root, my sacral chakras to knock me off balance. Because your second brain's in your gut. So they're if you have cancer in your family, they will target you where your family gets cancer. Because it can't just outright shoot you, but they can make your life a living hell. So basically you have to be really on top of all your health stuff. So, that's another reason why I make herbal stuff. And then I make pain salves and magnesium lotions and all kinds of stuff for my clients because I can't always find things as strong as I want, but I know if I make them, it's in them. So, because you should be taking ormus, you should be taking your mushroom tinctures. I take
Like
all this,
Amanita muscaria,
yeah, and I take that. Well,
microdose. I have a
I
good
have that,
Ukrainian
but
source.
yeah, these are some of the double extracted ones I make. This one's got lion's mane, turkey tail, and cordyceps. And this was the first one I made right after my dad died. And that really helps with depression. I have like 7 different
So you
organic
make your own
mushroom.
concoctions.
Um, yeah, because I know what's in them. So I've got mushroom tinctures. We have the organic mushroom farm out here. Then I got my
Nice.
Mullen stuff. I've got my Mullen's really good if your mom or dad smokes and they have COPD. It'll help bring up a lot of that mucus and clear their lungs out. It's also good for colds. Um, I made a bunch of elderberry syrup. Here's like
Oh, that's good.
reishi tincture is really good for healing your brain too.
The
So
elderberry, one country put everybody on it. It was a South American country when there was some influenza, and they literally made every single person drink elderberry tea because it was that good. It was literally
it,
ruled by the government.
it is, it's good stuff because I put the elderberry in mine. I put cloves, cinnamon, echinacea, and rose hips. So it's super vitamin C. And then I make two, a refrigerated one that I can send on dry ice, and then I make one with a tincture in it, so it's extra brandy because I like to try to use organic local honey, and I like it kind of sweet. So yeah, I usually have to have like 4 pounds of honey in the batch.
Yeah, well, it's nice. As
So
long as you're
yeah.
making it warm.
Like the shelf stable ones, because they have the tincture in them, they're, have a lot of brandy in them because the brandy and the honey keeps them
Preserved.
preserved. Sorry, my roommate was making noise.
It's okay. Is that your kitty cat roommate?
Yeah, well, that's the only roommate I have this week. We'll see what happens next week. Um, and then shoot, we're gonna go with that. Like, um,
You're talking
so.
about Lelouch and Renetta Jones and her telling you to get out of Iowa.
Yeah, so I'm working on that, but I really like my Victorian Practical Magic house, and now I have my black cat to go with the Practical Magic house that, you know, before my dad died, I was like, hey, universe, because I was feeding these stray cats. I was like, if you want to send me a black cat for my Practical Magic house, I'll take good care of it. And then when I went to the Brian's conference last year, I had to leave early because my dad had died, so I could go fly up to Philly to go to his funeral and hang out there for a few days. And when I came back, this little kitten was on my front porch, and I made
Oh,
friends with him. Think I still have some scars from the first time I tried to pick him up, but he's my buddy now because he was scared when he first saw me because he was feral. Actually, I guess he hears me talking about him because here he comes, right? A little bit, yeah.
a little
I was
bit.
talking about, I didn't know if he was a boy or a girl, so I was just like, hey, little bit of fur.
Well, if he gets pregnant, then you know he's a she. She's
Well,
a girl.
he got fixed before Christmas because, I went to visit family and I was going to
Oh,
leave him here to guard the ranch. And I didn't want him spraying on anything because he was still a kitten, so I figured he wasn't spraying yet. And now he does the electric tail thing. So they said
oh,
that somebody's like, oh, that's when they're mock spraying. And I was like, I don't think so. I think it's something tuxedo cats do because I've seen other videos of people's cats doing where their tail goes like that.
yeah.
So I don't know,
So
but
you
what's
said
that?
it's a practical magic house. What
Yeah,
does
it's a
that
big old.
mean?
Have you seen the Practical Magic movie with
Oh, it's the
Sandra
movie.
Bullock and Nicole Kidman? They're doing a new one this year, but yeah, it's a big old white Victorian, and that's why I call it the Practical Magic House.
Oh, okay. So it's a movie reference. Yeah, it sounds like a
Yeah.
good movie with them in it. I haven't seen it. I know Sandra Bullock is um, a really good actress, and Nicole Kidman is multi-talented in different things. So,
Well, I identify as Sandra Bullock's character because I'm the herbalist. So,
um,
yeah, because people are like, "Oh, so you're," I'm like, "No, I'm Sandra Bullock, but was red hair." Because she had a little herbal shop, and then I end up selling my stuff to, my clients locally, and then I vend. But shoot, how long are we going?
we're at
So,
34 minutes right now. We have plenty of time. I
um,
usually keep them like an hour, so you're good.
oh, and you said you wanted to talk about the babies because that was
The
interesting.
pregnancy thing, yeah, the
Mhm.
talking babies.
Well, my grandson's what's he, 8 now, I guess. Um, Before he was born. I remember, well, Dad had had a stroke, so I was up there and I was sitting in my room up there reading or whatever. And then I heard they'll just kind of like talk to me. And I heard this, I'm going to be your grandson. I'm going to
Oh,
weigh 8 pounds, 3 ounces. I'm going to be 21 inches long. And I'm going to be here May 23rd or whenever it was. Actually, it's May 27th. Um, and I'll be here just before 3:15 in the afternoon. And I was like, oh, just like your dad. So, I remember the day of when I get a text from my daughter-in-law that she's on her way to the hospital because she's having contractions. And I was so excited that, well, I was there to do, you know, massage on her while she was in labor. And Mom wasn't invited, but I was so excited I was going to be grandmama. Went and woke her up at 9 o'clock. She's like,
yeah. Wow. That's
what the
cool.
F
You
are
did
you doing
beforehand.
here? I said I woke you up because your great grandson's coming today. I thought you'd want to be there. You can keep her mom busy because you guys can go out and smoke together because they both smoke cigarettes. And she was like, oh, oh. So then she wasn't mad. She was in the car going, drive faster. You were cop, drive faster. You know they have their babies fast in that family. And it's 9:30 in the morning. I said, this baby is not coming till right before 3:15. We got plenty of time. I'm not getting a speeding ticket. And because she's not Fay at all. And actually her
Oh,
great
really?
grandma, yeah.
It doesn't run in the
Um,
blood?
it does, but it skipped her. My sister
Oh,
has it a little bit, and she's scared of it. And yeah, when I went to visit my great grandmom, I met her once when I was 5, and then they took me up there when I was 16, and she waited till Mom left, and I was sitting at the kitchen table with her because she had me go in the kitchen, and she's peeling potatoes because they were making chicken and dumplings, which was something my mom never cooked. Um, And she says, you're fake like me. I said, what do you mean? She said, remember when you were 9 and you told your, and I'm 16 at the time. I'm like, how's this lady know about this? And she said, you're like me when you thought you made your mom cry because I told her that her best friend came and woke me up and was talking to me. And I thought she was out of the hospital with leukemia, but she had actually passed. And yeah, my mom started crying, and I never told her anything I saw after that. And I thought her friend was really there. That's how real and solid she was. And
wow.
yeah, so that traumatized me because I'm like, what? I thought she was out of the hospital because I would hear, the adults talking and how she was like 5'8". She's usually like 150 pounds like me. And she had lost all her hair and went down to 90 pounds and was totally emaciated. But when she turned my light on and sat on my bed next to me and was talking to me, she had all her hair, her beautiful brunette hair, and she looked healthy because she's real pretty with her Louisville accent. And yeah, it just didn't make sense to my 9-year-old mind. But
Right.
anyways, my great grandma was like, "You're like me. I'm like that too." And your mom doesn't she's scared of it because she doesn't have it. And I was like, oh.
Oh,
And then she died 2 days later, so I never got to ask her anything else, which I kind of felt like they kept me from her because there was some people on that side of the family that my dad didn't like, and I know why, but
your mom died 2 days later after that
no,
happened?
my great grandma, so I didn't get to see her again.
Oh,
Then my
so you
mom,
could have learned from her
hmm I would
since
have
she.
loved to have learned from her. So yeah, so me in elementary school, I'm reading all the metaphysical parts of the library because um, why can I telepath? I thought everybody could. Um, if you were psychic, you could see like me because also I was 9 or 10, and I remember sitting in the bathtub at home because I have to take a bath at night um, before school, and then everything went black and I could see my friend Tony Taylor in the Spectrum in Philadelphia. It's not there anymore. They demolished it and the new newer places there. But when you would go down into the there's my co-host. When you
Your
go down into
mosquito.
the bowels of the Spectrum, it smelled awful. there was those fluorescent lights that would, flicker like in Joe versus the volcano. It was scary. And yeah, you didn't want to go in those bathrooms if it was dark in there, because who knows there's probably some rapist in there who's going to attack you. And she was lost down there and she was crying, but I could see her like I was on a crane just going around her, but I was trying to talk to her and but she couldn't see me, which didn't make sense to me at the time, and I didn't realize I was remote viewing with bilocation, and I heard her crying because we used to practice, and I was a weird kid. I was in third grade practicing telepathy with my friends at recess because I was reading all the Nancy Drew books in third grade, and
Detective.
yeah,
Well, how about that?
yeah,
You
and
became one yourself.
I credit my grandma Long with sending me. First, she was sending me the Happy Hollisters books. I'm like, I'm grown. I'm 9. I want to read Nancy Drew, and she's like, that's for high school and college kids. So, and I said, no, I want to read Nancy Drew. So yeah, I was reading Nancy Drew. So yeah, she did help instill the detective in me. That and um researching a lot of paranormal stuff because even now I have things going on like with my grandson's spirit told me that he was coming, but the other ones didn't because I have 4 grandkids. And my granddaughter's telepathed me, which was weird because she was a little tiny baby, but their spirit can still talk to you. Um, then I was doing this maternity massage a couple months ago, and this lady could actually lay on her back while she was pregnant. And I was like, okay. So I'm up at her head, working on her head, and I'm looking at her baby bump, and I was bored, and I tried to telepath the baby, and I said, "Hey, baby," in my head. I was like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And all of a sudden, she shows me this image of herself. She got curls like Shirley Temple, like a 5-year-old Shirley Temple,
Definitely
and
girl.
yeah, and she had this cashmere jumper on the sweater, and it was ballet pink, and she had this pink pleated skater skirt, and all of a sudden she shows me this image where she gets all sassy, pops her hip out, she's like, I'm a girl. And I start
You
cracking
don't
up.
need to know.
And I'm thinking this poor lady's probably wondering why her massage therapist is just giggling out of the blue. And I said, do you believe in psychic mediumship, right? Paranormal stuff? She's like, yeah. And I said, this is going to sound really weird because I'm a tomboy and I hate pink. But I was describing what her daughter did and what she said. And she said, oh my God, she's like, I hate pink too because I was a tomboy. I like blue. And she said, I've been obsessed with buying this baby pink. I said, it's her favorite color. And this one's coming in sassy.
Sassy little one.
Yeah, she was so funny. And then a couple weeks ago, I had the one lady that came in and they didn't know the sex and she was in her 9th month. And I already know I remember just looking at me in the mirror because me and my sister were pregnant at the same time. But you could still see my waist, but hers disappeared and she was carrying a girl and then I had a boy. And a client also looked like that. But when I was down at her hip, I kept hearing the baby say, I like sand. I'm thinking, what the hell is this baby talking about? So I thought maybe, because I was like, well, what's Sam? Is that the name you want? And he didn't answer me back. And he just kept saying, I like Sam. I said, did you pick out a name for the baby? And she goes, well, I think it's a boy. And she said, I want to name the baby Sam. I said, well, he likes Sam, okay? Because I keep hearing him say, yeah, I like Sam. So I wanted me to tell mom he wanted to be named Sam. Because I said, well, if you believe in this stuff, and usually people in town here, they come to me and they're like, oh yeah, you got to go get Reiki from Susan, that retired cop from Delaware. She, sees spirits and stuff. And depending on how sick they are, it's like or how open they are, it depends on whether you're going to see their guides. But a lot of people come in with their guides, and I was trying to think. I had another one that was really interesting lately.
Yeah.
Uh, Trying to think, which one was that? Oh, um, that was, oh, this one was really cute because she was so worried and the baby was talking to her because she wasn't married and she comes from a really Christian family. And I said, don't worry, everything's going to be okay, and stop beating yourself up that you're pregnant before you're married because you're going to be a great mom. And I I was, because she was just feeling all out of sorts. And I said, "Well, okay, come over and I'll balance you and I'll feel you. That's not part of Reiki, but I'll blast them with this golden light and activate their armor of God so she
Huh.
feels better." And I put, I like had my hands over her abdomen, and the baby starts talking about, "I, I like Charlie. I can't wait to meet Charlie. Charlie's going to be my best friend. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie." And he showed me images of him with little Tonka trucks and stuff running across the carpet and like somebody's family room. And he's with this little, I can see the kid he's talking about. It's like he's blonde. And I said, "Who's Charlie?" And she said, "Oh, that's my baby daddy's 1-year-old cousin." And I
Oh,
said,
wow.
"Oh," I said, "this baby cannot stop talking about Charlie." So she said, "Charlie's going to be my best friend. I can't wait to play with trucks and cars with Charlie. And he's going to be my best friend. We're going to have so much fun." And he was so excited to get here. And I know he's going to be frustrated because he's going to be in little baby body for like 2 years so he can
Right,
have
until he
fun
can really
with
play.
Charlie. But he was so looking forward to that. And that was pretty neat. Because then I saw somebody on my schedule at the spa, and I try not to do woo-woo stuff at the spa because they're practically Mennonite. And some of the people think it's witchy, and I'm like, it's not witchy. I was just born this way, and we just call it Fae when we're Irish. You just have the gift. And actually, in the programs, they were looking for people that could remote view with bilocation because I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I remember my friend Deborah Finley, she's helped the police and stuff with her abilities, and she's like, "Come with me to this platform mediumship class." And I was like, "But I don't do it professionally because it was advanced platform mediumship." She's like, "No, you're already doing all this stuff anyway." And I said,
Yeah.
"Okay, whatever, whatever." So, because I usually stay in the background till it's something fun or exciting. It's like, by the way, my guide said this thing, but I won't always tell people because, like, one time I was in church and this guy that I never saw at church, this church in Delaware that I used to go to because I love to go to Pastor Steve's services because he was funny. And there's this guy in front of me that I never see at church at that time, and he's crying. And then
Mhm.
there's this lady. And I'm like, "Oh, please don't make this happen to me now." The poor guy's crying, and his mom, who passed, is standing there in a house dress with her face to me because his back's to me. He's in the row in front of me while we're standing singing, and he's just crying his eyeballs out. And mom's like, "Please tell him I'm okay." I'm like, Lady, I can't tell this guy's gonna think I'm crazy, you know." And I'm in
Right.
almost like a born again Christian church. And I didn't, I was like, "Come on, man, this isn't always the time or the place."
This
And
is
I
the
just
time.
felt,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm gonna tap on his shoulder, some strange guy, and go, "By the way, I'm like a psychic medium and remote viewer."
Yeah.
Um,
But you had to.
but I didn't because I thought it would just make him cry more, and I didn't want him to cry more. But
Oh, 'cause he was crying. Oh.
yeah, and his mom and spirit standing next to him in her house dress with curlers in her hair, telling him I'm okay, and I just couldn't. I just felt weird. But
Oh.
yeah, like, you
It's
gonna go
gotta
up
be
to some,
difficult making those calls.
because I'm like, yeah, but like when we went to the platform mediumship thing, we spent the night because it was up in North Jersey, so it was like a 3 or 4 hour drive from where we were at. I think
Mm.
maybe it's 4 or 5. It was a long drive, and we spent the night at it was Universalist Church in North Jersey. So if you live near there, that's one of the good places to go for any psychic mediumship training. And it was Joseph Friel was teaching, and Shoot, I could tell you what happened the night before. Well, my friend doesn't tell me that that room I'm going to stay in is haunted. And
Oh,
I'm laying there, and you know when you've been on a really long ride, it still feels like you're moving when you're trying to lay in the bed. So I'm
yeah.
laying there trying to fall asleep, and all of a sudden I see this, like the Marine Corps devil dog, and he's got these two red eyes, and he's just floating in the room, and I'm like, I'm trying not to curse, but I didn't curse till I was a cop. And I'm looking at this thing and I was like, really, motherfucker, you gotta try harder because that's not doing it. I'm not scared. So I just rolled over on the other side and
Yeah.
I'm
Like go
watching a
away.
movie on my iPad and I was just totally ignoring him because he thought he was doing something scaring me. And then I finally went to sleep. And then we had the class the next day and I wake up and I'm like, oh wow, I'm all connected. I was like, my spirit guide's talking to me, and we go there, and I volunteered because there was like 30 or 40 people in the class, and I don't usually volunteer as one of the first couple people. And
Mm.
I get up there, and I started going. I was like, I'm on this dock, and with this Irishman, and I'm going like this. And when I did, I could taste the salt air on my tongue. It was bringing everything closer so I could get closer and have a better view of him. And when I started doing that, the the instructor jumps up on the stage because the I'm actually talking to this Irishman, this Irish fisherman, and he's joking with me because he can see me standing on the dock with him. He's like, "Hey, you know, I like squid. What kind of bait do you want? Because I think this," and he's chopping up squid bait. And then he goes and gets on his fishing boat, and I can see where he is, and I'm outside of Tralee in Cary because I went to the Rose Tralee Festival in 1984, and there's one road in and out, and I could see the Ring of Cary, and I said, "Oh, his boat was at the Ring of Cary," and he went northwest. And when he got up on the stage, this it was weird because this big kind of like glass pad, but like TV side was hanging in the air, like 5 feet off the ground, and I'm looking at this map of Ireland, and I'm simultaneously standing there on the stage in North Jersey, and I'm in Ireland at the same time. And
Bilocating.
yeah, and he gets up on the stage. He says, "Stop. You're remote viewing." I said, "This is how I always see." And that's when the screen popped up with the map. And I was like, "Oh, we're at the Ring of Kerry. I'm standing out because I took pictures of myself in 1984 out on that road. And I see where he's at. And he got lost by High Brazil. And High Brazil comes out of the ocean every once in a while. And some of the Tua and the Fae, are over there. And it's this mythical island. Well, anyway, I'm not sure that he actually died. He might have gone to High Brazil. But then I find out that Joseph Friel, the reason he knows why I'm remote viewing is because, and he wanted me to stop because what I was doing apparently was still classified with the Navy and everybody could see what I was doing. And he jumped up on the stage to stop me. And then I find out at the end of class that this guy, who's also a psychic, was in naval intelligence. And
Oh,
yeah, I remember being in the Solar Warden programs and the German programs, and I was like, oh, okay.
how did you get in those into those
Uh,
programs? Were you recruited, or it was against your will, or
I was
you?
kidnapped. I didn't do any of this stuff. As far as I know, I was kidnapped. I wasn't in the military. I almost went to sign up once, and an older brother of one of my friends went to high school with says, "You don't want to do this. It'll be bad." And I was
Mm.
like, "That's really weird." But I ended up not because he's like, they won't give you anything they want. They're going to lie to you and all this other stuff. And he's like, okay, I guess I don't want to. Because I was like, okay, I was going to do that and get my, you know, college degree paid for the rest of it anyways. But I didn't. But I worked with, and I tried not to tell them on the PD because I used to have a lot of precog dreams. So I dream, and then I go to this house. I'm like, oh shit, I know
I've
where all
been
the
here.
germs and the drugs are. I dreamt about this a day or so ago.
Oh, wow. So that
Yeah,
happens
but
all the times, precognition dreams.
it did when I was a cop, which also made me feel I was protected
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good
because I was
ability.
given the information beforehand so that I wouldn't get killed, or there would be other weird things like a couple times I saw like some divine intervention, which was pretty wild. The thing was the kid I was training that time, like calling him a kid because now he's like a lieutenant. He's gonna be retiring soon too. Um, we got this weird call, and they were saying they told us to go to this other channel because they're like, you were sending you to this 6-year-old out of control. And I'm sitting there going, "Well, parents need to get a license to be a parent. This is ridiculous. We shouldn't be called to a 6-year-old out of control. What kind of bullshit is this?" That was
Right.
my inner monologue. And so then
Yeah.
we go to this other channel where they couldn't hear us over the scanners, and the dispatcher's telling us that this is a little girl that was kidnapped by Satanists in Ohio, and the Ohio police recovered her, and these freaks were keeping her in a dog cage, and yeah, sound familiar? And now they moved from Ohio to Delaware to get away from these people, and I get there, we're driving there, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is probably a demon or something." I said, "Well, you went to Catholic school, didn't you?" Because I knew he went to the same high school I did. And I said, "They taught you how to pray. If you're a praying man, you better start praying." And
Yeah.
he said, "And call your guides in, your angels, whoever you call for backup." And he's like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Hell yeah, they don't teach you the stuff in the police academy." I said, "I always call in my guardian angels and my guides." And he's like, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm over here praying in my head right now while we're going to this thing." So we get there, and I hate those houses, those ranch houses that you can't stand to the side of the step because they have those cement steps with those little railings. So I had to stand on the cement steps and knock on the door because you don't want to do that in case they decide they want to shoot you through the door. At least, you'd be on the side of the door and they're just shooting through the door, but not through you.
Hmm.
So when I'm standing there, I like look like this, and I could see one's on, I could see his peripheral, and when I look this way, I could see, but then they disappear because I'm not allowed to see them straight on. But some of my clients have seen them. So anyways, I
Senior
know
guy?
they're on the, yeah, my guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. Actually,
Oh,
I
you're,
think they're ETs that protect me.
oh, you're not allowed to see him.
Yeah, not straight on. So, anyways, we
Hmm.
go. This is going to make sense in a couple of minutes. So, anyway, I go in the house, and this little girl's hurling herself into the drywall, putting dents the length of her body in between the 2x4s. I'm like, holy shit. And as soon as she sees me, she stops harming herself, engaging in her self harm, and she steps away from the wall. She puts her hands on her knees, and she goes, like she's in a wrestler stance, and she's looking at the angels on either side of me going, and then she stood up, and when she stood up, this halo went around her like a horseshoe over top of her head and to the floor on either side, and inside this golden halo, because it looked like gold leaf, and there was all these little white twinkly lights, and there were more angels inside of her halo, which I've never seen anything like that before. And I'm like, and she's looking at me like that. And Brian can't see any of this stuff because he can't see beyond the veil. And um, I said to Mom, I said, I'm a big cop in that, but sometimes I get scared and I pray to Saint Michael and my guardian angels, and they'll come in to protect me. And I said, "Is it okay if I do a little Saint Mike's prayer for her?" And I'm not a Bible thumper, so I was winging it. Saint Michael, protect us in battle. you
Yeah.
know, against the forces of evil. Because she was under spiritual warfare. And as soon as she saw me, it stopped because I brought the cavalry in. That's why she was doing the thing with, looking so surprised. And I could see why they took her because I've never seen anybody like that was like that close to
So
God.
bright.
Yeah, so bright. And
They want to take her louche, probably, right?
yeah, they wanted her louche because she was, yeah, I've never seen anybody with a golden halo over them. It doesn't look like a plate. It's like a whole horseshoe thing. And I've never seen anything like that since. I've seen, when people are getting close to death or they're really sick, their aura will turn gray and it'll only be like an inch off of their body, maybe, where other people's is really big and large. Because, shoot, oh, I usually have a pendulum here. Let me grab one because I'm going to show you something.
Sure. So we're going to see a pendulum, and pendulums are used for different reasons, not just for time purposes. So let's see what Susan has in store for us.
Well, I like to use them to check people's chakra. And when you feel somebody come up behind you, that's part of their aura. You're feeling their electric field when your hair stands up. You're like, I feel something. Okay. So this is my heart chakra, right? And if I want to make it bigger, I'll think fluffy puppies, babies, kittens, bunnies, and I'll make my field bigger. See, it'll just get bigger and bigger. And then, like a lot of ladies, their throat chakra's shut because mine isn't though, because I cuss and stuff.
You
And
let it out. You let it out.
yeah, so if you're going into a place where everybody's like grumpy, and when you walk into a room and you can feel there's been a fight and there's just like that negative kind of crushing energy, I'll show some of my clients and like, well, what you can do is like Care Bear your heart chakra energy into the room and fill it with the love vibration. Then you'll notice people start smiling and they're talking and they're giggling and you can just raise the whole vibration of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for having your throat chakra open today and having this talk with me and doing this podcast. I appreciate it. And yeah, do you want to give whatever information, tell people how they can support you?
I have
Find your
my
work.
If they're in Iowa, I would say divineconnections.amta is my website for in-person stuff. In online, lowercase divine connections with Susan.com. And I have my herbal products on there. My 3 Wise Men pain salve, that's the one I make for the Cancer Network. That one's really good for pain. There's, my elderberry syrup and other stuff and crystals and things I sell on there. Because there's more limited stuff, but if you're looking for something, ask me because I got a whole apothecary back here. Because I'm making something for Selena. She wanted me to make something. I can't wait for that one. I've got a couple more weeks because I've got this herbal concoction that's for anxiety, and I get anxious sometimes too. But this one has ashwagandha. It has tulsi in it. Then it has boca, which was supposed to be really good. And I think there was one more herb, and then they were saying use hemp flower, but I don't have any of that. So after the tincture is done, I'm going to add some CBD isolate and some CBDs for the pain, and the CBG is good for some of the depression that comes with the pain. So I want to put that in there too. And I think that would be really good. I can't wait till that one's done.
And can you give us your website one more time before we finish up here?
Divineconnectionswithsusan.com. That's the online one.
Great. And thank you guys for joining. And please support the channel. There'll be description links in the link below. And thank you, Susan, for being on here. Appreciate you. And bye for now.
Thank you.